sorry, this is important in our thing though. Because every day we like do different things, like what it like is meant to kind of work on you a little bit, but it's different, at different times. Like I don't want to forget this because it's like processing in a way. This is I often say I had a metaphoric experience. I always had sympathy with that kid at that school in Psycho in Arizona. Like although that didn't I didn't do, but I had what's called in the university. I had what's called a derealization experience. But wait, I'm getting something like it's important to know for all. I mean, for the political part of this or whatever, it's really important that this unique experience or the unique way. Let me. This is what happened. It's also why I was reading certain books to find out something. When I went to that thing and they were doing like like all the empirical study stuff. What they were doing like frightened me. Like at one point to the part where I kind of like said like, oh, this can't be real. Like it can't be real what they're doing. Here's the thing, but that was see like I have had a lot of privilege and that's a graduate school and this and that and everything, and I sort of said like I don't know, this is just really freaking me out. What I realized when I did all that like other reading is like, oh, that's what's one of the things that's happening apparently like in our country is like there are all these like apparently like hate groups and this and that and there are all kinds of things that people want to build a homeland, like really weird stuff. I read their literature and I said, oh, that's so interesting, right? Like these are uneducated people in like very isolated like sort of areas like tech really, who are like getting sort of a sense of certain things, or they have the gist of what was happening, let's say in the 90s, or what might be continuing or something. And but they're not like highly they're very uneducated. Their other sort of opinions and things are like sort of primitive. And sorry, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna have to redo this video. But like they're trying to put the pieces together, but they're not that educated. But like then, so it's like a lot of it's like paranoia, like this scientific dictatorship. People like they're scared, but they don't. They're not like coming to the exact like right. I mean, they're just freaking out, but they don't like know enough to see it in like sort of a more clear way. I had the same like kind of experience, but like right. I mean, I saw my whole experience was like, oh wait a minute, like this is why all these people who are like a lot of people who are like uneducated stuff are going out to like they're scared, but they don't like know what to think. They think that during the 90s, like maybe it's just this like scientific dictatorship, or it's this, and there's all kinds of weird literature. But like, oh, it's a lot of the root of like the kind of anti-Semitism that happens there. But I say like, I know why. Like, if I was an uneducated person, like viewing what's having lived through the 90s, and then finding this stuff out, like it was frightening. But I mean, I had a more like perspective on it. That's a lot of like what I was. They were interrogating me a lot, and like part of it was they knew I had read like certain literature, but I started to understand why people are coming to like these conclusions, like this, like Jew, like whatever they're coming to, this like sort of like hateful or not or whatever. That I never talk about those things. Those aren't the same. Those aren't spiritual communities. Those are like people in the woods. But that's an important part of like what happened to me before I got to your thing. Like I gotta look at it at a serious, like more like sort of neutral way, but it freaked me out too that they were doing this. Like the one sector of them is doing something that's like causing refugee problems. There's another sector doing a study on like what to do with all the refugees. Like I mean that really did freak me out. But why I got like emotional about it and like sort of like, oh, is this real? It was that I suddenly understood why there's all these like hate groups all over the country and stuff. Like they just don't have all the like a clear enough picture. They're paranoid. They're scared. But it started in the 90s, and I don't know that it. I don't know what happened to that. If the sort of I mean, the extent that I would. I mean, I don't know. They are still sending people to psychiatrists at the university if they ask certain questions. Like, but that I like want. Before I forget, like that's what was kind of induced in me to think about today, and it was intentional. Like I think that the guy was they were that planted that in my consciousness to share that. I know I'm being like a little hyper or whatever, but I don't want to forget. And your activity is important. I want to like give my just give you what the whole Why not? I mean, you've seen me messed up. I mean, why not just give it a shot to like tell you that? I mean, I'll stop at 6 o'clock, but like I just they tell you things that like lead you in the direction to tell you the truth. I guess like in a way.